Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers, Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys. Wednesday, November 13th, Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith with you. 5 games tonight in the NHL on this Wednesday, and it is a big night for us and this brilliant angle that we have been tracking. The system play, as it's become known as. Not 5 games on the card yet, not 1, not 2, but 3 games fitting the system play tonight on this Wednesday night card. So it's going to be a fascinating night to see how this unfolds, and we'll get into that in just a bit. But first, we're going to look back at last night and the Tuesday slate. Obviously, a lot of intrigue, a lot of entertaining games. We start with the game of the night, probably, or one of the games of the night. Certainly was the one that was anticipated probably the most. Winnipeg and the New York Rangers, and the Winnipeg Jets get to 15-1. Are you kidding me? Wow. The beat just keeps going on for this Jets team. Very impressive, 6-3 over the New York Rangers. And what's unbelievable about this team is finally Connor Hellebuck gives up more than 1 goal. He gives up 3, and the offense picks up the slack and scores 6. Very impressed by the fact that, too, we had all the big guns stepped up. It was 2 goals for Scheifele, 2 goals for Kyle Connor. Very impressive. Power play's been lethal. Another power play goal in the mix as well for the Winnipeg Jets. A couple games now where Shesterkin has certainly not been at his best. Now, you can't fault him for everything last night, but that was definitely not Igor Shesterkin's A+ game. That being said, there was some shady defensive play at times in front of him as well. But what a job by the New York Jets, or not the New York Jets, the Winnipeg Jets, which reminds me, by the way, what a funny moment if you watch that game, or if you watch the Devils and the Panthers game on ESPN Plus. They were basically, Bob Wischusen, as we know, is the Jets radio voice. He was doing the Devils-Panthers game last night. They showed a highlight of the Jets-Rangers game, and then Bob asks Ray Ferraro, who he was working with on that game, how are you going to stop that team right now? What do you mean, the Jets? Don't you cover them? All right. And he gets a little... And then they flash up the graphic Jets comparison, and there's all these gaudy numbers for the Winnipeg Jets, first in offense, first in defense, 15-1, and then the 99% chance of making the playoffs. And then the New York Football Jets on the other side, 3 and whatever, 20th offense, 20th defense, 9% chance to make the playoffs. So having some fun at Bob Wischusen's expense. The fact that the Winnipeg Jets are so good, and the team he is the NFL radio voice for, the New York Jets, is not doing so good. So that was a pretty funny moment during the Devils-Panthers game. But what a job by the Jets last night. And speaking of Devils and Panthers, best bet winner, New Jersey, gets it done as an underdog last night against the Florida Panthers. 4-1 win over the Florida Panthers in that game. Look, Florida didn't play that bad. In fact, I thought they were better team for extended stretches of that game, but it was a great night in net from Jacob Markstrom. New Jersey was opportunistic. Jack Hughes got them off and running. Just a brilliant play by Jesper Bratt on that first goal for New Jersey. The only goal was a Reinhart power play goal for Florida. Timo Meier and Paul Cotter with a ripper of a shot to really put that game away and make it 3-1 Devils. And system play number 2 cashes in for the 4th time this year with that New Jersey win. And that system is bet on teams after losing to the San Jose Sharks. That is now 4-1. The only loss was Columbus versus LA. Every other team that has lost to San Jose this year has bounced back and has won their next game. This is now, there's just more and more traction to this angle here. And it makes sense. When you lose to the San Jose Sharks, it is a gut punch. It is a wake-up call. How do we lose to that team? That's not a good hockey team we just lost to. We got to be a lot better than that in our next game. And certainly we're seeing evidence of that now, that 4 of the 5 teams to lose to San Jose this season have immediately bounced back and won their next game. So Devils follow that up last night with a 4-1 win over Florida to keep that system going up. Listless performance by the Toronto Maple Leafs last night. 3-0 totally deserving were the Ottawa Senators. One of those nights where you could tell right away it wasn't going to be Toronto's night. You give up a goal that quickly. They were losing every puck battle, hemmed in their own zone, coughing up the puck, taking penalties. I think they lost 98% of the one-on-one battles for pucks last night, Toronto. It was a disastrous performance, probably one of the worst they've had this season, which is kind of surprising because of how well they had been playing, but they get blanked 3-0. Solid performance. I was going to say great performance by Linus Ullmark, but no, I can't go that crazy about it. It was a solid performance. Toronto didn't play well enough to say that Linus Ullmark was great. Ottawa was great as a team. That's what the Senators can do. And are they building a little momentum now? Nice road win against Boston. They end up getting the shutout last night against Toronto. A little momentum finally for this Senators team. Could this be the start of a little bit of a heater for them? We'll have to wait and see. But it was a great game overall. From all their big guns were great. Giroux was great. Batherson, Norris, Stützle get on the board. Amadio scores as well. So great win for Ottawa, deserving of that victory. How about the comeback by the Boston Bruins last night? And they unfortunately stole. They unfortunately stole the draw from us, Boston, in that game. I don't know if Alex had it. I know I had it. The Bruins and the Blues draw. Yeah, I think Alex had it as well.
I had a piece of it. I didn't give that out, but I did have a piece of that personally. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, we thought we were going to get it when Boston tied it, but they said, we don't want to win this in overtime. Let's win it right now. And they get the that was a statement by the Bruins. That was because I'll tell you what, that first two periods for Boston was absolutely brutal last night against St. Louis. I don't know what was said, whether it was Jimmy Montgomery, whether it was Brad Marchand, McAvoy, the leadership group in the Pasternak, whoever, the leadership group, but something was said because Boston looked like a team that felt like, enough of this. We're better than this. We have to be better than this. And they completely turned that game around in the third period. So whatever was said, credit to the Boston Bruins for getting that game back and getting that train back on the tracks and turning a 2-0 deficit to the St. Louis Blues into a 3-2 win with 3 unanswered goals. A huge, huge comeback win for Boston because you felt that if they lost that game and went down with a whimper, oh man, the vultures were going to circle even more around this hockey team after that game last night. So cools down the temperature a little bit, and a much needed win for Boston last night by a score of 3-2. Crazy New York Islanders, right? I didn't think that game was going to be a draw last night. That's why I didn't bet it. But sure enough, this team just falls ass backwards into games that go to overtime. It's just unbelievable how it keeps on happening for this team, whether it's them blowing a 2-goal lead or in this case, them coming back from a 2-goal deficit to force overtime, which they did last night against Edmonton. They were down 3-1. They got a couple of goals late to tie it. But in overtime, if anyone watched that overtime, that's about as embarrassing an overtime period as a team can play for the New York Islanders. Edmonton was skating circles around them. Just had the puck the whole time, couldn't get the puck, couldn't get the Edmonton out of their offensive zone. It's absolutely brutal to see the way they're not a 3-on-3 team. Let's put it that way, the New York Islanders, and they showed it last night. Edmonton was just skating waves around them, and eventually Sorokin had a couple of huge stops, or else it could have been over right away in that overtime. But a nice 4-3 win for Edmonton. To be honest, it only went to overtime because of Ilya Sorokin. He did play very well last night. One of his better games in net for the Islanders. Seattle, good to see them bounce back. That was a terrible first period from them. And I'm like, oh, here we go again with Seattle. You have a huge win against Vegas at home, and you're going to fall down 2-0 at home to Columbus. What's wrong with these guys? But boy, oh boy, whatever was said in their first intermission worked because they were just dominant after that. 5 unanswered, and they put away the struggling Columbus Blue Jackets 5-2 last night. Yeah, you can't beat Vegas and expect – you got to go on a run if you're Seattle. You can't just have a bad road trip, beat Vegas at home, and expect that's good enough. Got to string wins together, and they did do that last night after a bad first period. They bounced back, took care of the Jackets 5-2. And then Vancouver with a 3-1 win over Calgary. A lot of this game disappointed me. No first period over, no team total over for Vancouver in the first period or the full game for that matter. Frustrating result there. But Canucks bounced back from the loss to Edmonton. Calgary in the tough spot. Again, we're going to track this the 3rd and 4 nights, all with travel and time zone change. We're going to track 1 time zone change versus 2 or more time zone changes. And we're going to see how this angle does. But if you combine the 2 time zone changes or more, the 1 time zone change with 3 and 4 nights, all with travel, it's now 3-0. since I've been starting to track it. So something to keep an eye on as we move forward. Alex, your thoughts on last night?
Yeah, and that's something significant. Like you said, even if you're not following it full on as a system, that's just something to have. This is a good handicapping pinpoint. Noticing that trend of those teams traveling and moving, crossing time zones, because you'll have some crazy and it's interesting. You talked about it yesterday. I was thinking about it afterward last night. You have some teams that have these crazy road trips. I'm thinking about the Hawks in particular, where they will bounce back and forth between time zones within a trip within a given week, and that's something that probably even makes more of a change and difference than, say, being on a East Coast trip where you're on the Eastern time zone for however long you're on that trip. If you have those trips that cross over between time zones and zigzag, that might be something to look at now, because we have so many. We added a mountain time zone with Utah, so that changes things as well. Actually, we really didn't add it. That was pretty much mountain with Arizona as well. But you have now, with that distance, you could be crossing between Mountain and Pacific back and forth. So it's something that I kind of made a note of after you talked about that yesterday. But seeing that with Vancouver getting that win over Calgary is an impressive win for them. And it was tough for the draw yesterday. So there were three games where you had, one goal games late in the third, or deep into the third period, and feels like they were going to be draws. Like I said, most notably that Boston and St. Louis game. But the one that really kind of shocked me was, like I said, Seattle and Columbus. I thought for sure when it was 3-2, I thought Seattle, like I said, just not really finding a way to put a team, to put a team to rest. You're going to let Columbus kind of get back into that contest, but they did get those two goals late, and that's a very impressive win for them. They have to consistently figure out how to do that, though. Beat teams by margin, beat bad teams by margin. The Seattle team, like I said, they're better than they're playing right now. They can get things rolling and get wins against good teams, but definitely, get those confidence boosting wins against the Columbuses of the world. That can help them move forward in that Pacific Division. So those are my takeaways from yesterday.
And a shout out to Alex for the Morgan Geeky call as well. Bargain bin special winner last night. A couple of the goal props hit last night. We like Morgan Geeky. We talked about Pius Suter in the Vancouver game. He ended up finding the back of the net last night. So good to see some of those cash, as always. Nice bankroll boosters when you hit some of those plus 300 or better goal props, like a Pius Suter, like a Morgan Geeky last night as well. On that Tuesday card. But all right, let's turn. Oh, by the way, I think there's something else I was going to mention about last time. I'm trying to think now. Maybe it slipped my mind. Anyway, we move on. We got 5 games on this Wednesday night, and we'll begin with Detroit and Pittsburgh. We have Pittsburgh minus 140, home favorite, 6.5 the total in this game. I mean, I hate this Pittsburgh team. They stink. They're terrible. But if you have any sort of pride, you would expect them to show something tonight. I mean, that was embarrassing the other night against the Dallas Stars. Now, look, Dallas was pissed. Dallas wanted to get their season back on track. They didn't love the way they had played in some of their recent games, and they had the ideal foe to beat down and annihilate. And that was the case the other night. And it was 6-0 right after the first period, and there was really no looking back after that. So you would expect Pittsburgh to want to come out strong. They're not very good. They're still a bad hockey team. We know that, but even bad hockey teams can step up for one night and play a good effort and win. Remember, this team did beat Washington, last week. So there is some capability there. They're just awful defensively right now. And goaltending, you never know what you're going to get one night from Blomqvist or Nedeljkovic. It is Nedeljkovic, of course, in net here for the Penguins against his old team, one of his 2 old teams. So maybe that gets a great performance out of him. I'll have to see it before I believe it, with the Keystone Cop defensive play happening right now in front of him at this point in time. Meanwhile, you've got the Red Wings, who are coming off a 4-0 shutout loss to the New York Rangers, where they actually dominated and carried the play. But turning back the clock was Jonathan Quick, Cher style, turn back time. He sure did, no doubt, with a great performance from him in net that night. And really, he was the difference maker, because Detroit had shots, Detroit had chances. Detroit had the puck most of the night, but unfortunately, they were not able to capitalize with it. So you got both teams in situations looking to bounce back. So I think it's a steer clear as far as a side is concerned. I think of this price, I'd lean Detroit. I still think Detroit's a little bit of a better hockey team than Pittsburgh. So I'd lean Red Wings, but that's not the play I like the most. System play is in effect. We've got Detroit off a shutout loss. The numbers are still very strong. Obviously, we did not see it come through last night with the Devils and the Panthers, but still overall 21-8 first period over, 18-8-3 for the full game over with system play number one. So we're on over 1.5 first period, over 6.5 full game, and I'm actually going to make this a trifecta too, with both teams to score in the first period in this game as well. Because when you think about it, Detroit got shut out in their last game. Focus is going to be, let's get our offense back on track. And then for Pittsburgh, they got blown out in their last game against Dallas. And I think there's going to be an emphasis for both teams. Let's start strong. Let's get on the board early. Let's get a goal early in this game, get some confidence back. And so I think this is a very good candidate of a game to go with that, both teams to score in the first period here as well with Red Wings and Penguins. Alex, what do you think here, Detroit, Pittsburgh?
Yeah, I'm with the first period over and the full game over. I'm not sure if I might add that both teams to score as well, but like I said, running with the system play for sure. And like I said, looking back at the history of these two teams, you've seen a bunch of overs. So even laying $1.38 at Caesars, $1.40, I'm seeing at MGM, that's still a fair price. I would go on and grab that early. This could be one of those games where we see a goal scored kind of early. Doesn't necessarily mean that we get to 2 goals right away quickly, but I think that first goal comes in a bit early, we'll, may not have a chance to jump in and grab even over 2 in game. So grab that 140 or 138 pregame with the over 1.5, and then lay $1.10 with that 6.5 in the over.
That's a good stat. Yeah, I do lean Red Wings, King D, but that is a good stat. Red Wings 4-0 in their last 4 games after a home loss of 3 goals or more. And to me, I still think they're a little bit better team than the Pittsburgh Penguins. So I might sprinkle on Detroit, too, at plus 120. They're a dog. Pittsburgh laying a favorite. I'm never as a favorite. You don't have to twist my arm too much to bet against Pittsburgh as a favorite when they're laying a price. And that's obviously the case here. Because remember, a lot of the wins they've had, well, especially the Washington win, that was as a dog. They've had a lot of rough times here when they've been favored. So keep that in mind as well. So like I said, yeah, I'm a sprinkle on Detroit, yes, but definitely what I like more is the system play here, the over trifecta here in this game. As far as props are concerned, look, from a Detroit standpoint, you would expect this is a Dylan Larkin game. It seems like when the Red Wings don't play well and have a game like they had against the Rangers and they get shut out, that's a Dylan Larkin response game coming up. He's always the guy to lead the fold, lead the team, have a better performance, and I think you're probably going to see that from him here tonight for the Detroit Red Wings. He's definitely the player prop I like the most on their side of the equation. Probably for Pittsburgh, look, the captain, right? Sidney Crosby. I will make a case for Drew O'Connor as well, because it looks like he's back on Sidney Crosby's left wing side on the top line for the Penguins tonight, and he has at times chipped in when he's gotten that opportunity. So there are a couple of those goal props. And Cam Talbot, by the way, confirmed in net for the Detroit Red Wings here tonight. So Talbot and Nedeljkovic will be your goaltending matchup here in this one. All right, next up, we've got the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Washington Capitals. We've got Washington minus 135, minus 140 home favorites in this game. The total sitting at looks like 6 shaded to the under here in this game. This is another game where the system play is in effect because the Toronto Maple Leafs, surprisingly, I wasn't expecting this to be a system play game before last night, but here we are. Toronto getting shut out last night by the Ottawa Senators, 3-0. So automatically, we're on first period over, full game over here in this game. From a side perspective, this is interesting here. Washington, I've been backing them quite a bit, and it's worked out well. I think Alex and I both had the Capitals on our cards Saturday when they just beat the living piss out of the St. Louis Blues in that game, 8-1. That was just a throttling there. A team that has not lost 2 in a row, so keep that in mind. The Capitals have won after every single loss so far this season, but they're off a win, a blowout win. And Toronto's off a game that I know they're pissed off about. Everyone was. Berube was. Every single player that was interviewed saying not good enough. We should be disappointed, said former captain John Tavares after the game. I feel Toronto wins this game. I do. I don't know if I'm betting them, but I'm definitely leaning Toronto here, believe it or not, plus 120. Even on a back-to-back, it's going to be Joe Woll in net. Joe Woll had a pretty good game His last time out when he started, it was against, I believe, Montreal on Saturday night. He's starting to get better and better, I find, with each and every performance in net. Logan Thompson will get the call here for the Washington Capitals, and Alex and I both think he's been pretty solid so far, and we're very, very bullish on the potential for him. And another thing I can't ignore, too, is Toronto's own Washington. 8-1 in the last 9 meetings over the Cap. It feels like a Toronto spot, and Toronto's done this before on a back-to-back, where they have a really bad game the night before or a loss the night before, and they come back and the next night and they play a lot better and they get a win. And they did that the first couple nights of the year. Remember, they got shut out by Montreal opening night, and then they bounced back against New Jersey, the Sheldon Keefe Bowl, and they beat New Jersey on the road the next night. So I'm strongly leaning Toronto here, plus 120 in this spot because of the ownage of Washington. I think every recent time they've made the trip to D.C., they've won. They have really done well here in Washington in particular, but overall they have 8-1, as I said, the last 9 meetings. So I'll probably get in on Toronto a little bit, plus 120. But you know what I like even more? It's the system. It's the over by Fecta in this one. Alex, what do you think here, Leafs Capitals?
Yeah, one, I completely forgot to mention, I have the draw in Detroit-Pittsburgh plus 350. I got caught up. We were talking about the whole travel situation thing, but that note.
I could see that being OT. Yep.
Yeah. But with this game, this is the one where I do like both teams to score in the first period, along with system play one. And I really like the first period over here. It's now down to minus $1.20 at FanDuel. So I'm going full unit with this first period over, but also going both teams to score in the first period plus 172 is the price I see at FanDuel, and I'm going with over 6 minus $1.15 at BetMGM. And Caesars, I think, has $1.15 as well. So those are my 3 plays in this contest. I think this will be a fun one to watch.
No doubt. And by the way, as far as Austin Matthews is concerned, they thought he might return last night. He didn't. There's no update yet about the status for him tonight against the Capitals. So we'll see on that. But my guess, the way this is trending with Austin Matthews, don't hold your breath. He's back tonight. I think it could be maybe another game before we see him back for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Like I said, I still think that, it's just concerning. It seems to be dragging on and on and on with his return. And like I said, but, last night he was supposed to be back. He's not. We'll see tonight. Game time decision was the latest I heard. Bobby McMahon, I mentioned him as a bargain bin special last night. He's not my bargain bin pick tonight, but still there's value with him on the second line with Tavares and Nylander. Right now, Nye's always worth a look. For Washington, the usual suspects, Protas, Strome, Ovechkin. That line's been just phenomenal for the Washington Capitals. Connor McMichael's been amazing. There's no question about that. I find Tom Wilson's a guy that sometimes gets on the scoreboard when he faces the Toronto Maple Leafs because he's a Toronto kid. So Toronto guy, I should say. He's not a kid anymore. Tom Wilson certainly could be worth a look here. So this is a very interesting game. You've got this red-hot Washington team. Toronto's owned them, but it's probably one of the better versions of Washington that the Toronto Maple Leafs have played in quite some time. And as I mentioned, Woll and Thompson going to be your goaltending matchup here in this one. All right, next up, we've got the Carolina Hurricanes. I'm mixing my hockey and football up today. Carolina Hurricanes taking on the Utah Hockey Club. Believe me, there's no comparisons between the Carolina Hurricanes and the Carolina Panthers right now.
No,
as far as quality.
It's much like the Winnipeg Jets and the New York Jets when you think about it.
Exactly. The Hurricanes minus 200 road favorite, 6 the total in this game. My prognostication before the season that Carolina would maybe take a slight step back here in the regular season and just do enough to get into the playoffs. It's not happening. They have been great. 11-3, 9-1 in their last 10 games. You know what's amazing about Carolina? Even in the one loss was to Colorado, 6-4. 9 straight games where they've scored at least 4 goals. 9 games in a row that this Carolina Hurricanes team has scored 4 or more goals. They have certainly been more than good enough offensively. Roslovic has been, I think, just a brilliant fit for this team. I don't think anyone expected 9 goals from him so far this season, but he has delivered, playing with Aho and Svechnikov on the top line. Necas, Kotkaniemi have started to gain some chemistry. And don't look now, guy they got from the Columbus Blue Jackets, Eric Robinson, 3 goals in his last 4 games. You better believe I like props for him tonight. He is really starting to heat up at the moment. What you say, Mr. Robinson, doesn't work when it's a guy. It's got to be a girl for that song analogy to make sense. But Eric Robinson has been very good for them. Great value, I think, for him with props. Roslovic, we've talked about. Don't let Jordan Martinook get hot either. He's someone that can chip in from the third line, and look at what he's doing now. 5 goals in the last 4 games for the Carolina Hurricanes. So another value prop for the Canes in this game tonight. And then there's Jackson Blake, who has been, I think, a pretty bright light for them, considering he's only playing on the 4th line. But like what I've seen out of him, they've clearly got enough offense, and it's because of Roslovic. It's because of this great chemistry the second line now has, and Robinson heating up with Kotkaniemi and Natchez, and Martinook is starting to get it going. So it's very impressive what they can do as far as offensively is concerned. Utah on the other side, they are not scoring goals right now, and they are having issues finding the back of the net. And for Andre Tourigny, it was a great article out there that we've really improved our defensive game, because early in the season they were in a bunch of shootouts. They were scoring goals but giving up a lot. Now the last 9 games they've kind of reverted where their defensive game's gotten better, and now the offense is fallen right off. So it's finding that balance, which he was talking about, and that's what's made this system play such a great angle. And we've got it in play for this game once again with Utah coming off a 4-0 shutout loss to Nashville. That article that we read about the Utah Hockey Club, it was all about, what can we do? What line changes can we make? Who can we move up to the top line? What can we do to shake things up and get our goal scoring going again? That's what the focus was. That's what the emphasis was for Utah after that Nashville loss. And it makes sense that the angle's been strong, because when you get shut out, that's what you focus on as a coaching staff. How do we get going offensively? Because it's kind of like a black eye, and it's kind of like a badge of dishonor in today's day of age in the NHL when you get shut out in an NHL game, in a 60-minute game. That's like unheard of with the way the goals flow in left and right. So you feel almost ashamed as a hockey team when you get shut out in your previous game. So that's why there's that pedal to the metal mindset. Let's get going offensively. Let's maybe play with more pace. Let's see if we can move someone up the lineup to create a spark and generate more offense. If you read that Utah article that Alex and I saw, that's exactly what it was all about. That's where all the focus was for Utah coming into this game tonight against Carolina. It's why I think it speaks to why that system play angle is 18-8 or whatever it is, first period over, or 18-8 full game over so far this season, and first period over at 21-8 for the first period over. It's because that mindset when you get blanked in your previous game is, let's go. We've got to find a way to kickstart things offensively. And that is the thought process and the mindset of each team. So this is another system play for me, over first period, over full game with Carolina and Utah. I'm going to tack on this Carolina team total over as well. I've got to ride it at this point. They have just been automatic as far as scoring 4 goals minimum. Again, 9 straight games where the Hurricanes have scored at least 4 goals. And I only have to lay -110 on their team total over 3.5. I will do that easily. And with Vejmelka in net, who is a big wild card, sometimes he's good, but oftentimes he's not. He'll be in net tonight for the Utah Hockey Club. So I'm tacking on the Canes team total over 3.5 here as well. 9 straight games with at least 4 goals for Carolina. Alex, what do you think here, Carolina, Utah?
I'd be a little bit cautious about that because I like Utah in this spot. I actually took Utah plus 170. I think this could be a game where, and Rich H mentioned in the chat, this is a big homestand for Carolina. They've got some good teams coming in. I think they want to make an impression. This is where talk about, new team in front of your new fan base. This is where you make an impression. Show up big against the top teams in the league. And like I said, Carolina playing well. They're due to lay an egg at some point. Even though it is Vejmelka, I do believe there will be goals. I am on both legs of the system play here, but I think Utah can maybe find a way to stay, afloat in a track meet where if this was a game played in Raleigh, I may not be on them. But I think here at home, I think they're live. So plus 170 of Utah, along with the first period over and the full game over.
So Utah plus 170, live dog for Alex here with this one between the Hurricanes and the Utah Hockey Club. There is some, I mentioned a lot of this is a great prop game. This is my favorite prop game of the night. I think there's so much opportunity with Roslovic playing the way he is, and he's undervalued for Carolina. Eric Robinson for Carolina, undervalued. Martin Nuke heating up for Carolina, undervalued. But there's some good ones for Utah tonight. Tricky Nicky, as Don Cherry once called him, Ballstad. Nick Bukestad moved up to the top line tonight by Andre Tourigny. He will center that group with Nick Schmaltz and Clayton Keller. They had a period of time last year down the stretch where that group played together. Bukestad was on the top line with Schmaltz and Keller, and there was chemistry there. They produced offensively, and I think the thought process is let's go back to what was working with those three guys last year. So I think Nick Bukestad, tremendous value for player props tonight, centering that top line for Utah. Michelli, Cooley, and Gunther remains as the second line. Michelli probably has some value. Cooley and Gunther, there's a good chance both of them can score. If Utah is going to win this game, they're going to need both of those guys to play well. Someone to also look at a little bit down the lineup might be the veteran, Alex Kerfoot. He's chipped in a bit, and he's playing power play now, starting tonight for Utah, getting more opportunity there. So Kerfoot, Michelli, Bukestad, very, very good value, I think, for those three in particular for the Utah Hockey Club tonight for player props.
Now, I got to mention something, too. So this is also the third and final game of the night that qualifies for System Play 1. It has been brought to my attention, and shout out to Sweet Lou 502. Follow him on X, longtime follower of the show. He says that of the 8 games in the 29 that legs that have been with the first period over 21-8, of the 8 that have lost, 7 of those 8 games have seen 2 goals or more scored in the second period. Yeah. So the live look we should have whenever these if these first period overs don't come to fruition is looking at a second period over and maybe even tacking on something with the full game over. So those are some in-game looks to have along with System Play 1 if we don't have that first period leg come to hit.
Someone mentioned that to me too. I don't know if it was, maybe it was because you mentioned it was Lou for you. Maybe it was for me too, but someone else mentioned that second period overs have been soaring in these games. In the ones that where the first period over didn't cash for the system play. So there's something to that if we get 0-0 or 1-0 after the first period in this game or the Detroit-Pittsburgh game or the Toronto-Washington game, maybe take a look at second period over and full game over in the first intermission. Yeah, definitely. Something to keep an eye on. That's a great point to mention. So don't just abandon ship because the first period over falls short. Try to make some money in game, maybe a second period over or a live over at that point. Could be the way to go. No question about it based on those numbers. All right, next up, we've got, this is actually the second game of tonight's, it's a TNT doubleheader. I should mention Detroit-Pittsburgh, the first game of that doubleheader. This is the second one between the LA Kings and the Colorado Avalanche. We've got Colorado minus 140, road home favorites, I should say. This is at Ball Arena in Denver. The total here, 6 pretty much across the board. This Los Angeles Kings team, they're all over the place, right? I mean, they have a couple of really great wins on the road trip, Nashville and Minnesota, in back-to-back games. They come home. They have a pretty bad game against Vancouver. They bounce back. Their next game, they beat Columbus, who are obviously really struggling at the moment, 5-2. And then they go to Calgary. They lose the other night to the Calgary Flames. So they're just all over the place, LA. Not an easy team to handicap or prognosticate at the moment with just the inconsistencies. 5-6 on the road. That makes a lot of sense to me. Just goes hand in hand with how up and down the LA Kings have been this year, that they have a 1 game below 500 road record so far this year. Of course, Colorado's only 5-5 at home, 3-3 on the road, 8-8 overall. But I don't know. I'm seeing signs of Colorado maybe kicking it into another gear. 3 of these last 4 games. They beat Seattle 6-3. They nearly, they were right there toe-to-toe with the Winnipeg Jets, and they outshot Winnipeg in that 1-0 loss to the Jets. The red-hot smoking 15-1 Jets. And Colorado only lost to them 1-0 on the road. And then they bounced back with 2 home wins against pretty quality competition. Nashville's underachieved, but we were expecting them to be good. They get a 3-2 overtime win there. And, of course, the 6-4 win against Carolina. So, they're really playing well. We'll see how it plays out. Obviously, this is going to be the Darcy Kemper revenge game. Not revenge game. You shouldn't be feeling revenge. They won a fucking Stanley Cup with him. You should always have great thoughts in mind of Colorado and his time with the Avalanche. But nevertheless, he is playing his old team, starting in net tonight for the LA Kings We'll see if that spurs a strong performance out of him. He's just like with the team, Darcy Kemper, a lot of ups and downs this year. 2.65 goals against. It's not bad, but the save percentage we don't like, 899. Don't want to see the save percentage like that. Meanwhile, you've got Georgiev in net. And look, for all the Georgiev slander that we have given on this show, I will say one thing. 2 of his last 3 starts have been a big-time step in the right direction. He played well against the Jets, went toe-to-toe with Connor Hellebuck in that game. Carolina game wasn't great, where he gave up 4. I thought in the Nashville game, that was one of his better games as well, only giving up 2 goals, had to make a couple of really good saves in the third period. So signs of improvement, signs of a tide turning, a little bit at least, for Alexander Georgiev. But still would like to see more moving forward from him. We'll see how this one plays out. If you look at series history, Colorado has won 3 of the last 4 games against the Kings, but the Kings have actually won 2 of the last 3 in Denver between these 2 teams. So I don't want Colorado to me looks like they're kicking it into high gear. I don't want to go against them. I don't trust the Kings, but it also wouldn't shock me if the Kings go in there and win, because that's what they're capable of. And we did see the last time they were on the road, we saw them beat Minnesota, we saw them beat Nashville back-to-back nights. So we know their best game is capable of winning. So I think there's too many inconsistencies with LA, and I'm not eager to step in front of Colorado right now. So I guess I lean Avalanche, but I really don't like it enough to bet it. So this is the one game tonight I don't have a huge, strong opinion on pre-game. Alex, what do you think here? Kings, Avs.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't have a good feel in this game either. I'm leaning toward draw. Like plus 360 is not the worst price. But like you said, Colorado seems to be kind of rounding in the form a bit, where LA is kind of waiting to see. They're a hard team to read right now. I'm waiting for their bottom to drop out. I don't think this team is really that good of a club, and I think that they're due to have some aggression. And we know Colorado, the injury bug is what's been biting them and keeping them down. So the healthier they get, the better they should be playing moving forward. So this may be one, being a TNT game, I'll probably just look for something live in game.
Yeah, that might be the best option. I don't mind what I think it's Exotic Wagers says. You could do the combo. You could get Avalanche money line and over 5.5. Get the total down to 5.5, and you'll get good, decent plus money on that plus price. So I don't hate that. I could see that for sure.
I think if you like the over and a side in either game, on either side, you could do that. You could do that Kings and over 5.5 too if you like the over and you think LA can win here. So
there's no doubt.
This is a good game for that.
Yeah, I agree with that. I was just looking back. Someone saying after an under for Colorado, bet the over. That's been the pattern. That doesn't surprise me either. Because just off the top of my head, I don't recall many instances this year the Avalanche had 2 unders in a row this season. In fact, I'm going to go back to actually they had a period of 3 unders in a row on a road trip in October, where they did have 3 unders in a row. But it's been rare air. Let's put it that way. As far as the Colorado unders, there were 3 in a row for Colorado on that road trip where they went under the total. But I'm talking about 2. Have they had 2 games in a row at home that have gone under the total? The answer is no. 2 home games in a row for Colorado have not gone under the total. So every single time that Colorado's had an under at home, the next game's been an over at home. So if you're buying into that, it's for me. It's at 6. No, I do lean over here. In fact, I might even add the over here a little bit. I don't love it, but at 6, I'll add it for a small amount here, over 6 minus 120 between the Kings and the Avs. All right, as far as props go, there are a few that do stand out. Lehkonen, Kiviranta, O'Connor on the second line. Hopefully Ivan scores a goal tonight. That would be nice. He's on the third line. I think there is still some value with his plays, with his goal prop. Moore has been heating up lately for the LA Kings, no question. Back-to-back games with a goal for him, playing with Deneau and Fiala. Fiala, we've talked about, it's been good. Warren Fogle on the third line might be worth a look. Do we trust Trevor Lewis? Because he's up there with Kopitar right now. Crazy as it is to say. Pretty kind of weird, kind of crazy. Jim Hiller's gone this route, but I see Trevor Lewis with Kopitar and Kempe right now on the top line. Maybe to free up space, free up ice, do all the grunt work. That's probably why he's up there. So, but maybe if he can strike the jackpot here to find the back of the net, certainly you're going to get value on Trevor Lewis up on the top line with Kopitar and Kempe from the looks of things for this game tonight. All right, final game of this Wednesday night card, Vegas Golden Knights, Anaheim Ducks. We've got Vegas minus 220, road favorites. The total sitting at 6.5, shaded to the over here in this game. The Vegas Golden Knights, we've talked about all year. What is wrong with them on the road? They still have just the one single road victory this season, which came actually in one of their tougher road games when it was Edmonton with Connor McDavid back. And that was the one road win they had. 1-5 on the road, beating Edmonton 4-2. And then, of course, they followed that up. They had a great start against Seattle in their next road game and couldn't hold the lead. Seattle comes back, and the Kraken end up winning that game in overtime against the Golden Knights. So, again, I don't see enough from Vegas on the road to say I'm really excited about laying minus 230, or minus 220 with Vegas in this spot. But Anaheim, San Jose, Islanders in a game they were badly outshot, and Columbus. Those are the 3 wins for Anaheim in their last 10 games. That's about as sisters of the poor as it gets from a quality of victory standpoint, playing those 3 teams. The Sharks, the Islanders, and then, of course, the Columbus Blue Jackets, 4-2 in their last game. And as we've talked about, Columbus is beleaguered. They're battling injuries, and they are struggling mightily. So let's not put too much stock into that win. However, Anaheim has actually here at the Honda Center beaten Vegas 2 times in a row. In fact, 3 times in a row. If you go back to December of 2022, the last 3 times they've hosted Vegas, the Ducks have won all 3. And I'm tempted by Anaheim. I will admit that fully in this spot at this price, plus 190. Being said, I don't know. There's Vegas now off 2 straight losses, a 5-2 home loss to Carolina, their first home loss of the season at T-Mobile Arena. Vegas plays their A game. They could beat down this Anaheim team. But Anaheim's actually, there's been a house of horrors here all of a sudden the last few years for Vegas. Like I said, 3 straight times the Ducks have hosted the Golden Knights here in Anaheim. Anaheim's gotten the victory. It is worth noting, too, Mark Stone's still day-to-day. They got, Nick Hague out on the blue line. Olofsson's on it. There are some injuries here for Vegas. We'll see who's in net, too. We don't have confirmations, but we have projections of Aiden Hill for Vegas, Lukas Dostal for the Anaheim Ducks. We've talked about we love the kid, but, man, he's beleaguered. He's seen more rubber than a dead skunk on the side of the road analogy. That's Lukas Dostal right now for the Anaheim Ducks, just facing way too many shots. So this is one where I don't have a strong opinion, but just from a pure money line standpoint, at plus 190, I'm tempted by Anaheim here. I just don't love the idea of going against the much better team now off 2 losses in a row, their first home loss of the year. This is a spot where the better team should be chomping at the bit and focused, and we'll see if that means they get it done. But at this price, I still do lean to Anaheim just a little bit, as ugly as it is. What do you think here, Alex? Last game, Vegas, Anaheim.
This is a total pass for me because I got to wait for goaltending either way. If it's Dostal, I would actually be leaning toward an under. We've seen 7 of the last 10 meetings go under the total with these 2 teams. But if it's Gibson, and like I said, still want to see what kind of form he's going to be in coming off the injury. And like I said, Vegas, off the loss, this could be a game where if they're feeling it and Gibson doesn't have his A game, they can name their score. So this is one I'm just going to be completely staying away from. I won't even have anything live on this one.
There you go. It's nothing pregame, nothing live here for Alex in this one. Yeah, the team total is probably the safer route, Jeffrey. I agree. I mean, certainly I think if you're going to bet Anaheim, don't just put all your eggs in the money line basket. Okay, diversify your portfolio, as I like to say, and make sure you put a little bit at least on the team total for Anaheim. Yeah, Leo Carlsson scored the last game. I think for props for Anaheim. It's probably someone that was worth a look because he's had some chances too before that. Puck wasn't going in for him, but yeah, Leo Carlsson for Anaheim. For the Vegas Golden Knights, a lot of the same players we've talked about all season have been the ones delivering the goods and have had the value. There's no doubt. We talk about close shave Barbashev, how great he's been. Dorofeyev, how he's given them a spark offensively. He has 4 goals in the last 5 games for the Vegas Golden Knights. Even Brett Howden's getting an opportunity on the second line. Someone to really target tonight could be, because it looks like he's up with Eichel and Barbashev tonight, Nicholas Waugh for Vegas. Looks like he could be getting the opportunity tonight on the top line for them. He scored a couple of games ago against Seattle, playing on that top line with, again, Eichel and with Barbashev, and taking that spot where Mark Stone normally plays. And it looks like Stone is probably going to be a no-go again here tonight. We'll see how that one plays out. Yeah, that's actually, I was surprised Alex wasn't on the Vegas first period over here in this game, because they've been so good. But that's more at home. It seems to be even better. Yeah.
And like I said, if Anaheim, like I said, the track record that they've played Vegas well at home, and the fact that this has been trending toward unders. Like I said, if they have the better goalie with Doshal, that's why I'm not. Now, if it's Gibson, and I'm watching this game and I see something at the pace, I'll tweet it out and then I'll jump on the first period over. But as of now, this looks like it's going to be something I'm just completely off of.
Yeah, yeah. Vegas first period overs are great overall, but more so even at home. Yeah, more so even at T-Mobile Arena. So that would explain why Alex might be taking a pass on it here tonight. Great stuff. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Hit the like button. Over 400 live viewers. We appreciate it. Not only on YouTube, but all the other platforms as well. Just like we appreciate all our Patreon members at patreon.com/iceguys. Just $10 per month. Goalie charts, totals charts, bonus content, live exclusive betcasts for Patreon members only coming up later in the season. And of course, each and every day we post the betting card for me, Alex, and any guests, sides, totals, player props posted each and every day on the Patreon page for members. And again, your $10 per month subscription goes a long way to supporting the show long term. So sign up and subscribe if you haven't already. We've been blown away by the number of signups and subscriptions to the Patreon page since the start of the NHL season. Keep it coming. Sign up, just $10 per month. Patreon.com/iceguys, just $10 per month.
Yeah, just checking the number now where we're at with 182 subscribers. So it'd be cool if we can get to 200 next week or so.
The drive for 200. Yeah, exactly.
Let's get that
push
rolling.
For 200.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's also check out the Ice Guys store, iceguys.myspreadshop.com. We've got everything in stock right now. You get one of these nice little fancy hoodies. We got caps, we've got t-shirts, we've got mugs, we've got even stockings for the holiday coming up. So get everything right now at iceguys.myspreadshop.com.
Yeah, check out the Ice Guys store, because look, you want to order your shit now if you're trying to get someone a Christmas gift, because Christmas is going to be a month and 2 weeks away. You want to make sure it arrives in time so you can put that damn thing under the tree. 100%. So make sure you get your orders in now for sure. All right, we're going to get in our bargain bin special and best bet in just a moment, right after we hear from our great Ice Guys sponsors.
Support for the Ice Guys podcast is provided by Boston Hemp Incorporated, Manscaped, Power Play Sportsman, Raise Your Game, Tailgater Social, and a big thank you to all that subscribe to the Ice Guys Patreon page. Everyone loves a perfect pair. Bacon and eggs. Thunder and lightning. Mario and Luigi. A hot dog with fries. Ian and Alex B. That's right. Everyone loves a perfect pair. So why not pair up your game nights with Boston Hemp? From exotic flower to concentrates and edible products. You'd be hard-pressed to find a better pairing than Boston Hemp and Hockey. Check them out today at bostonhempinc.com. That's bostonhempinc.com. Boston Hemp Incorporated, the official smoke sponsor of the Ice Guys. Void where prohibited by law. Not available outside of the United States. Must be 21 or over to obtain products. Check your local regulations to see if Boston Hemp is available in your area.
All right, shout out to all our great Ice Guys sponsors, including, of course, Boston Hemp Inc., daily show sponsor and exclusive sponsor of our betcasts. 20% off all orders on the site using the promo code Ice Guys at bostonhempinc.com. That's a great segue to remind everyone, next Tuesday, it is our November live betcast, our only live betcast for the month of November. Next Tuesday, November 19th, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Again, DM or email me or Alex for a spot on the betcast next Tuesday night. And of course, we will make sure we send you the link so you can be a part of the Ice Guys live betcast. And again, Winnipeg, Florida is the main event game, if you will, of that betcast next Tuesday night. What a game that should be. The Paul Maurice Bowl, his current team, the defending champs, the Panthers, against his old team, the one he expressed he'd love to see them win the Stanley Cup next, if not his team, after winning it last year.
Of a start.
Of a start. Let's see it be a hell of a finish, though. How about that?
Right. Sure. Of course.
How about that? And even the Jets fans, like I know one that's a really good friend of mine is a Jets fan. Even he's like, I'm still not totally buying into this yet, even at 15-1, because of the playoff shortcomings of that franchise in recent years. So, but it is an amazing story, and the Jets will be one of the marquee games next Tuesday, them and the Panthers, plus a big slate of Tuesday games in addition to that. So make sure you join us for the live betcast next Tuesday, November 19th, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. All right, bargain bin special of the night. Morgan Geeky gets it done for Alex with his bargain bin special last night. What have you got for us tonight?
Yeah, well, let's head out to the SLC. You got Utah taking on Carolina. I'm looking at Dylan Gunther to get over 1.5 points. You can get 6-1 over at FanDuel for that. Playing on the second line, but we like that system play, thinking there's going to be goals, should be opportunities. Like I said, with the juggling of the lines here, I think that offense could be revved up. I like Utah to win the game, and I think Dylan Gunther is going to be a big part of that. So Gunther, 2 or more points at plus 600. That's my bargain bin special for this Wednesday.
There you go, Dylan Gunther, Utah Hockey Club, over 1.5 points, plus 600. Very good price on that for Alex B. Smith with his bargain bin special of the night. My bargain bin special of the night, I'm going to go to that same game, but I'm going to go to someone from Carolina. And I'm going to go with Eric Robinson for the Carolina Hurricanes. No relation to Matt Robinson or Ryan Robinson, by the way. Eric Robinson for the Carolina Hurricanes, plus 590 is the price with him. He plays on the second line right now with Natchez and with Kotkaniemi. And the chemistry that they have is pretty impressive. That's been a good line for them during this 9-game streak where they've scored at least 4 goals as a team. Eric Robinson now has 3 goals in the last 4 games for the Carolina Hurricanes coming into this one. So Eric Robinson, Carolina Hurricanes, plus 590. We're going to go with that for my bargain bin special of the night. I actually like Bailey's bargain bin here. Rasmus Sandin. I forgot that Rasmus Sandin for Washington used to be with the Toronto Maple Leafs. So it's the former team angle. I think he either scored a goal or got a point in one of the games against Toronto when he was with Washington last year. So Sandin might be live as far as maybe finding the back of the net for Washington here tonight from the blue line. All right, good stuff. Best bets to wrap things up. Alex, what do you like here for best bet?
Yeah, maybe he can get one of the goals in the first period. That would really help out with the Leafs Caps first period over 1.5 minus $1.20. That's what we're going with the best bet. Of course, the system played 21-8 to the first period over. We got 3 of those coming tonight, so we're going to see how strong this system really is. It's going to be put to the test. But I think that's the best of the 3 there. Toronto, Washington, first period over 1.5 minus 120 available at FanDuel. It's my best bet for Wednesday.
There you go. Leafs Capitals over 1.5 first period minus 120. Best bet for Alex B. Smith. My best bet, well, it was probably going to be one of the legs of the system play, either first period or full game over from one of those 3 games. Detroit, Pittsburgh, Toronto, Washington, or Carolina, Utah. But I'm going to go with instead, because I really think this makes a lot of sense. And I believe the last time I went with first period both teams to score in a game as a best bet, it cashed. And I really like this one for Detroit, Pittsburgh. You've got Detroit coming off getting shut out. The emphasis is start fast, get on the board early. And for the Pittsburgh Penguins, you got absolutely embarrassed, absolutely ashamed on your home ice by the Dallas Stars the other night. Your emphasis is we've got to start strong coming into this game here as well. So let's go with Detroit, Pittsburgh, both teams to score, first period, plus 152 at FanDuel. Very good price with that. I think it's got a really good chance, and I like this situation. One team off a shutout loss, one team off a blowout loss, and I think the focus is let's get going quickly here tonight in this game. So Detroit-Pittsburgh, both teams to score. First period, plus 152 for my best bet here for this Wednesday NHL card. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Another great show in the books. Hit the like button. We appreciate it. Yeah, Jordan Martin, Nuke Robert, that's on my player prop card. That almost was bargain bin too for me. Very close to being bargain bin. There's a lot that could have been a bargain bin play for me tonight. There's a lot of good Utah ones I mentioned too, like Bukestad, especially up on the top line. Anybody from Washington right now, Drew O'Connor with Pittsburgh. I mean, you go on down the list, there's a lot of good bargain bin contenders tonight. So a good prop night for sure, even for just a 5-game card. Hit the like button on the way out. A reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Tuesday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms. For Alex B. Smith, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Wednesday night. Enjoy the games and good luck. And we will be back with you tomorrow on Thursday for another edition of the Ice Guys.